how did I get into philosophy? So it's funny. There were really kind of two intersecting tales to tell. One was that I was always kind of a stridently independent mind, and so always asking the whys and things like that, and really appreciating the answers. Appreciated how sometimes the answers conflicted. One of the things and so I wanted to be a scientist. I wanted to be a physicist. I wanted to know about I really kind of wanted to know about everything. And initially I thought that physics was going to be the place for me to do that. And so when I was in high school and even when I first went to college, that was where my interests were. So the second arc to this story was that from a very early age, I was really impressed by just stories out of Greece. The Greeks were just interesting. Their physicists were interesting. Their philosophers were interesting. Their myths were interesting. Their history, they were just interesting folks. And part of it's just that they're easily romanticize. They're easily romanticizable, and it's this sort of kind of crucible of civilization kind of thought with Greece. And so from a very early age, I was just really taken with the Greeks. And so the second part of this is that when I went to college, I also started in on a classics major. And so I was regularly reading these ancient authors, and then I wanted to learn Latin, and so I was learning Latin too, along with Greek. And I was finding that as we were reading these texts, I was wanting to argue back.
Yeah.
So we would, for example, be reading Seneca, or we would be reading Thucydides or something like that. And Thucydides would make what looked like a sort of an incorrect inference about what was in front of him. And I would want to argue with Thucydides, or I'd want to argue back with Seneca. And my classics professors would say, this is excellent. But there's a whole discipline devoted to what you're doing here. We're trying to get straight about what they said. There's a whole discipline about taking up with them and saying that they're wrong, and that's called philosophy. And so that was one of my sort of first places where it became clear to me that my interest in big questions, my interest in the past and these sort of ongoing conversations, philosophy was going to be the home for me to be able to do that. And so the funny thing was that at first I thought that it was because I was just not good at reading. I thought my Latin wasn't good enough, because I was like, I'm disagreeing with Seneca. It's just because my Latin's not good enough. But it turned out, right, that you do get to disagree with the greats. There is that kind of, you get to talk back. And so I found that really liberating. I found the intellectual freedom, the opportunity to be audacious and wise on your own was something that was really appealing to me. And so I finished as a classics major as an undergraduate, and then spent some time working in a bar and a lumber mill in Montana, and then went to graduate school in philosophy.